What happens in an IRS audit? I know you're just asking for a friend. Ask an accountant. I'm Anthony Mauriello. I'm an enrolled agent licensed by the Internal Revenue Service to represent taxpayers. And today I'm going to answer the question, what happens in an IRS audit? Through the course of this video, I'm going to outline exactly what steps need to be taken in sequential order through the course and engagement of your audit. Now, the first thing to remember is an audit is an engagement. The first thing the IRS is going to do, as you may or may not be already aware, is they're going to send you a letter explaining to you, we've selected you to be audited. Now, there's several different types of audits. There's an income audit, there's an expense audit, there's an entity audit, there's dependent audits. So in addition to getting over the shock of going to your mailbox and receiving this letter, you're going to want to find out exactly what it is the IRS is asking. Once you've identified the fact that you've been audited, the next thing you want to do is call your accountant. We'll never recommend a taxpayer to call the IRS directly. You're always better situated when you have representation in the form of somebody helping you. Now, if that's not an option and you feel like you've got this or want to go at it alone, by all means. The initial letter is going to give you the content of what the IRS is looking for, as well as a representative and a phone number. By calling that number, you're telling them, I've received this letter, how can I help you? The first phone call is very cordial, it's very easy by nature. The IRS is going to explain to you why you've been selected, what it is they're looking for, and they're going to outline for you a course of what to expect next. Once you're done with that, within the next few days, you're going to receive a letter from that same auditor. This letter is going to be a little bit more personal in that they're going to ask you specifics and they're going to ask for some documentation. The IRS calls this an IDR, an information document request. This request is going to ask you for certain items on your tax return, as well as the justifications. Now, again, as I've stated earlier, depending on the source or the type of audit, will dictate whether you're going to go down to the IRS office in person, or you can just do this through correspondence and mail. No matter which option the IRS lays out for you, again, I can't stress enough, you're always going to want representation. Through cordial conversation, the IRS will be digging for some information. They may just seem like they're making small talk. You may be very nervous, and you may be disclosing things that later on in the terminology of a 1970s movie can be held against you. We want to avoid you from incriminating yourself or anything you've done. Now, that's not to say that you're a bad tax criminal and Elliot Ness is going to bust down your door and haul you away. However, the IRS is very finicky when it comes to tax laws and tax rules. You may be breaking some that you didn't even realize you were doing and can now be looking at some steep penalties as a result. In order to avoid this, we want to be as forthcoming and correspond with them as quickly and as efficiently as possible. The worst thing you can do is go dark. The worst thing you could do is not respond to that initial letter or simply stop responding to the auditor if you cannot secure your information. The best thing you can do is gather up the information as pristine and as neat and as organized and laid out as that IDR requests you do. Cleanliness counts, spelling counts, neatness counts. You're going to want to get it in their hands in an order that makes it very easy for them to understand and evaluate. Now, another option many clients come in is, I'm going to bombard them with paper. They send in everything in shoe boxes and receipts. Believe me, nothing is going to get you in hotter water than you're already in than giving the IRS a shoebox full of receipts, than giving them excuses that you had a flood, that you had a fire. You're just going to want to give them all of your information as neat and as clean as you possibly can.
Hey, what's up everybody? Rob Gill in the Money Minute. Let me tell you something, and I don't know this from experience, but the question is, what happens in an IRS audit? Guess what? Don't try and figure it out yourself. Get with an enrolled agent, get with a tax attorney, get with an accountant, and make sure that your I dot and your T cross, so whatever's going on in the audit, the professionals can help you through it.
So let's say you've been dealing with your auditor, and these engagements traditionally will take anywhere from a month to up to 6 to 9 months, depending on the complexity of the audit. Let's say you've had at it yourself, you rolled up your sleeves, you're doing great, but you hit a roadblock, you hit a dead end, there's something that either you're uncomfortable with, there's something you don't know how to answer, maybe they're turning up the heat a little bit on you. At any given point in this engagement, you've got the right to say, stop. I'm going to tap out. I need assistance. I realize I tried to do it myself. I don't want to incriminate myself any further than maybe I already have. I'm going to seek a tax professional to represent me. There are certain tax professionals that can represent you in front of an IRS auditor. There are others that cannot. A regular tax return preparer cannot. A CPA, an enrolled agent, a tax attorney, we all can. So you're going to want to seek the advice and the representation of somebody who's licensed by the IRS or certified by their state to represent you in front of the IRS. Once you've gotten somebody in your corner and they're going to go to bat for you, your conversation with the IRS comes to a complete grinding halt. And this is why I like to tell clients right up front, from the moment you get that letter, please call a tax professional to represent you. Don't get to the point where you realize you can't handle it or that you're in too deep. When we are engaged in representing a client, we act as a buffer. If the IRS has any questions for the client at all, the tax professional will get that information request and can then speak to you, the taxpayer, directly in a much friendlier manner than you will with the IRS. Once we're able to ascertain what it is the IRS is looking for, and you and your tax professional have a discussion, that preparer, that professional can then bundle this up nicely and give the IRS the answers they're looking for. At the end of the audit, what you would expect is an adjustment letter. And that is going to recap all of the facts and the figures of your audit. It's going to tell you, Mr. Taxpayer, we audited your itemized deductions for mortgage interest. You wrote off $10,000. Through the course and scope of our audit, you were able to justify $6,500. We're going to make this adjustment. We're going to hit you with this tax on our adjustment. We're going to charge you interest and penalties. You still have a chance, even at this late in the game, to disagree with the audit findings. You have to sign off on that audit as agreed, and then you'll get a bill from the IRS that you accept and agree to the audit determination as the auditor laid out in their report. Once you have that report, it's not over. What we're going to want to do when you get your audit report is we're going to want to make those adjustments on your federal tax return. And depending on the state you live in, if you're in a state that has a state income tax, you've got to tell your state, I've been audited by the IRS. Here's the adjustments the Internal Revenue Service made to this year's tax return. And here's my amended tax return. We're voluntarily reporting this to the state to let them know I might owe you some additional money. In doing this one step alone, you will avoid any interest and penalties by coming forth and telling the state proactively that an adjustment and money is due them. I hope you found this information valuable. Please never, ever, ever try to go at it alone. But if you do, know that at any given point, you can always seek the help of a true tax professional. If you have any more tax questions, please click the link below, type in Ask Anthony.